After an impressive college career at North Carolina, Michael Jordan was selected with the third pick in the 1984 draft by the Bulls. He soon showed everyone that he should have gone number one, with a productive rookie campaign that earned him the 1985 Rookie of the Year award. Despite his talents, though, his team struggled to make any real impact in the league due to the stranglehold that the Celtics had on the Eastern Conference. Later, in the late 80s, there were few bigger rivalries in the NBA than that between the Bulls and the Pistons. Chicago were repeatedly eliminated in the playoffs by Detroit thanks to their suffocating defense led by Isaiah Thomas, which earned them the nickname the Bad Boys. And after they won their back-to-back championships in 1989 and 1990, the Pistons became arguably the most despised champions in NBA history, something that was compounded by the fact that they reveled in their nickname. Ultimately, the rivalry between the Pistons and the Bulls culminated in Chicago sweeping Detroit in the 1991 Eastern Conference Finals. Controversially, before the game officially ended, most of the Pistons players chose to return to the locker room rather than congratulate the new Eastern Conference champions. As the Detroit-Chicago rivalry died down in the early 90s, the Knicks became the Bulls' new arch-nemesis, as the teams met numerous times in the playoffs, in what were invariably vicious battles. All up, Jordan would win 6 rings over the course of his career, in 2 separate three-peats, from 1991 to 1993, and from 1996 to 1998. Along the way, Jordan made a number of other players NBA champions, who probably wouldn't have achieved that rare feat had they not been teamed alongside the Hall of Famer. Given Jordan's extensive list of rivals and his well-documented reputation for holding grudges, it's remarkable to think that some of the players that have Jordan to thank for getting them a ring were once bitter enemies.
And Michael wants a piece of him. Jordan is very upset with the way he came out. Oh, man. NBA champs. Come on!
It's like clubbing baby seals.
With a career that spanned 21 seasons consisting of more than 1,600 games, Robert Parrish achieved numerous accomplishments during his time in the NBA, though it very easily might never have happened due to his controversial beginnings. Between 1972 and 1976, Parrish played for Centenary College of Louisiana. Despite his impressive play, he received virtually no attention in the media after the university was hit with severe penalties for violating NCAA rules regarding the academic performances of the team's players, most notably Parrish. For 6 years, the gentlemen were under probation and barred from postseason play, while the team's statistics were also excluded from the NCAA's annual press guides. Still, Parrish caught the attention of pro basketball. In 1973, he was selected by the Utah Stars of the ABA in the league's Special Circumstances draft, though he declined to sign with the team. Later, in 1975, Parrish was picked by the Spurs of the ABA, but declined the opportunity yet again. Finally, for the 1976 NBA draft, he was selected with the 8th pick by the Warriors. Although the team had been league champions in 1975, they were now on the decline, which led Parrish to question his career choice. Then, he got traded. After the retirement of Dave Cowens, the Celtics needed a new center. So, in June 1980, Boston traded their first overall pick for Parrish and the 3rd pick in that year's draft, which the Celtics would later use to select future Hall of Famer Kevin McHale. Ultimately, Parrish would play 14 seasons in Boston, from 1980 to 1994. During this stint, Parrish won 3 NBA titles in 1981, 1984, and 1986, after forming a Big Three alongside Larry Bird and McHale. All up, Parrish played 1,106 games with the Celtics, averaging a double-double with around 16 points and 10 rebounds, along with almost 2 blocks a game. In August 1994, at the age of 41, Parrish signed as a free agent with the Hornets. Despite his age, he was a significant presence on the team, on and off the court. All up, he played 2 seasons in Charlotte, backing up and mentoring future Hall of Famer Alonzo Mourning. After the 95-96 season, at the age of 43, Parrish's career seemed all but over. However, he then signed with the Bulls in September 1996. Although his productivity was minimal, Parrish helped the Bulls win the 2nd ring of their second three-peat in 1997, which also made Parrish the oldest player to win an NBA championship at the age of 43. Not that his time with Chicago was completely without controversy.
And so we were scrimmaging, we played like 6 games. We proceeded to kick their butts like 4 straight games. Michael took offense to it, so I asked him, how did he like that ass whooping we just put on him? And he took offense to it because clearly no one ever manned up to him. So he said that he was gonna, if I wasn't careful, he was gonna kick my ass. And I told him, like, I'm not in awe of you. I played with some of the baddest fellas that walking the court, and I'm supposed to be in awe of you. You know, he looking at me like I had slapped his mother.
In August 1997, Parrish officially retired with the most games played by any NBA player. Later, in 2003, he was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame, closing out a tumultuous though remarkable NBA career. Despite playing 11 seasons in the NBA and being one of the best three-point specialists the league had ever seen, when people think of Trent Tucker, they typically remember him for the rule named after him, rather than his respectable NBA career. The Trent Tucker rule disallows any regular shot to be taken on the court if the ball is put into play with under 0.3 seconds left in the game or on the shot clock. The rule was adopted in the 1991 season, after a controversial game in January 1990 between the Bulls and the Knicks. With 0.1 of a second remaining in the game, Tucker had gotten off a three-point shot before the buzzer and made the basket. The shot counted and the Knicks won. Bulls coach Phil Jackson complained about the play after the game. The NBA soon implemented the new rule, named after Tucker. And with this, inside of 0.3 seconds, only a tip-in or a high lob would count. Beyond being immortalized by having a rule named after him, Tucker was one of the best shooters in the league throughout the 80s and 90s, and was a fan favorite of the Knicks. After an impressive college campaign at the University of Minnesota between 1978 and 1982, Tucker was selected with the 6th pick in the 1982 draft by the Knicks. He quickly established himself in the league as a three-point specialist. Later, for the 1986 All-Star Weekends, Tucker represented the Knicks in the first ever three-point shootout. Ultimately, he made it to the semifinals before being eliminated by Craig Hodges and the eventual winner Larry Bird. Tucker would play 9 seasons with the Knicks before joining the Spurs in 1991. After one season in San Antonio, Tucker joined the Bulls in October 1992. At the time, the Bulls were in need of a three-point specialist, after the controversial departure of arguably the league's best sharpshooter Craig Hodges, who was allegedly blacklisted by the league due to his political activism. Although Tucker was little used during the Bulls' 92-93 campaign, his time with the team resulted in his first and only ring when the Bulls achieved their first three-peat. Nowadays, Dennis Rodman is best known for trying to bring peace between the US and North Korea through the game of basketball. However, over the years he's had a number of unusual jobs, including being an actor, starring in 2 critically panned movies, the 1997 Double Team and the 1999 Simon Says. He was also once a wrestler who famously fought alongside wrestling icon Hulk Hogan. There was also the time Rodman found steady work as a Hall of Fame caliber basketball player whose career came to a close with multiple rings to his name. As a player, Rodman was known for his fierce defense and freakish rebounding skills, which were on display right from the start of his NBA career. After a standout college career in southeastern Oklahoma State University, between 1983 and 1986, Rodman made himself available for the 1986 NBA draft. He was taken with the 3rd pick in the 2nd round with the 27th overall selection by Detroit. Rodman immediately became a crucial member of the Bad Boy Pistons. Despite playing small forward, he had the unique ability to shut down almost any opponent, whether they were a point guard or a center. All up, Rodman would play for a number of teams, including the Pistons, the Spurs, the Bulls, the Lakers, and the Mavs. However, his most noteworthy campaigns was the time he spent in Detroit and Chicago. Rodman was crucial for the Pistons for both his defensive skills and his antagonistic personality. As the Pistons were being dismantled in the early 90s, Rodman demanded a trade, despite having 3 years left on his almost $12 million contract. In October 1993, he was sent to the Spurs. On the court, Rodman still excelled, especially at the defensive end. Off-court, however, Rodman repeatedly clashed with team officials. While the team gave him a number of chances, the relationship eventually dissolved. So, in October 1995, just prior to the 95-96 season, Rodman was sent to the Bulls for Will Perdue. Although Chicago barely gave up anything in the trade, it was still considered a risk because of Rodman's age of 34 and his personality. However, ultimately, Rodman quickly adapted to his new environment and proved crucial for the Bulls to complete their second three-peat. After being selected by the Lakers with the 46th pick in the 1977 draft, James Edwards would end up having a nearly 2 decades-long career in the NBA. He represented a variety of teams during his time in the league, most notably the Pistons. As a rookie, he was forced to become the team's starting center after Kareem Abdul-Jabbar broke his right hand in a fight with rookie Kent Benson early in the season. Impressively, Edwards led the team with averages of more than 17 points and 8 rebounds per game until Kareem returned. In December 1977, the Lakers traded Edwards to Indiana, where he had a number of productive seasons, averaging 15 points and nearly 8 rebounds a game. In May 1981, Edwards joined Cleveland, where his productivity remained steady. Still, the Cavs shipped Edwards to the Suns in February 1983, when Cleveland ran into financial difficulties. In Phoenix, Edwards was a key contributor at the center position for a number of years. In February 1988, Edwards was traded to the Pistons, where he'd play 4 seasons. Although he was in his early 30s and his numbers dropped from previous seasons, he played an important role in Detroit's championship runs in 1989 and 1990. After missing out on a chance to complete a three-peat in 1991, Edwards' career appeared to be all but over, with him now in his mid-30s. However, in August 1991, he was traded to the Clippers, where he spent one largely unremarkable season, before returning to the Lakers as a free agent. In September 1994, Edwards joined the Blazers, serving as a role player off the bench. In October 1995, just a month before his 40th birthday, Edwards signed with the Bulls. The trade that brought Rodman to Chicago was the thing that led the team to sign Edwards. Given Edwards' history with the Pistons, who had repeatedly beaten the Bulls with suffocating, borderline dirty defense, Edwards had seemed like an unlikely signing for Chicago. However, upon signing with the team, Edwards had been quick to distance himself from Detroit and the Jordan rules. Edwards pointed out that he hadn't walked off the court and had remained after the game to shake hands with the Bulls. Ultimately, Chicago would go on and win the 1996 championship in Jordan's first full season back after his first retirement in October 1993. At the end of the season, Edwards retired after playing 19 seasons, with over 14,000 points and more than 6,000 rebounds. Despite having a largely statistically insignificant 95-96 season and the initial awkwardness of his history with the Pistons, Edwards genuinely enjoyed his time with the Bulls. During his time in the NBA, John Celly was known more for his personality off the court than his game. Still, he played a significant role in a number of teams in their championship runs. After an impressive college career at Georgia Tech, where he excelled at the defensive end, Celly was selected with the 11th pick of the 1986 draft by the Pistons. He'd go on and play for a number of teams over his NBA career, though he's best known for his time in Detroit, playing a significant role in the Pistons' back-to-back championships. Celly was well and truly a key member of the Bad Boys. However, like Edwards, Celly was also one of the few Detroit players who remained on the court to congratulate the Bulls after their victory in the 1991 playoffs. Once Jordan took hold of the league in the 90s, the Pistons began to dismantle their once great team, and in September 1992, Celly was traded to the Heat. His time in Miami was relatively productive, however, it came to an awkward end. In June 1995, Celly was left unprotected in the expansion draft for the incoming Canadian teams, the Grizzlies and the Raptors. Understandably, with Celly's old Pistons teammate Thomas, a part owner and executive vice president of Toronto, Celly was selected in the expansion draft by the Raptors. Ultimately, Celly would only briefly play for Toronto before he negotiated a buyout in February 1996. Later, in March that year, Celly joined his former Detroit teammates Rodman and Edwards when he signed with the Bulls. During his time with the team, he helped Chicago set the record-breaking 72 wins in a regular season, before closing out the season by winning his 3rd ring. Celly had intended to retire. However, in September 1996, he decided to play internationally, a career move that only lasted a month due to personality clashes with his coach, who refused to play him. After returning to America, Celly retired from basketball. However, in September 1999, Celly signed with the Lakers, re-teaming with his Chicago coach Phil Jackson. Despite playing limited minutes, he served an important role as a veteran and leader off the court, as Los Angeles set about winning the first of their 3 Shaq-Kobe championships in 2000, 2001, and 2002. Celly retired for good after the 99-2000 season. Fittingly, he concluded his remarkable career with a declaration that summed up his unique journey that he owed, at least in part, to Jordan, who, intentionally or not, also ensured that 3 of Thomas's former teammates had more rings than Isaiah himself.
I asked him, how did he like that ass whooping we just put on him?